everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and I'm sad and lonely to be here with Michelle Chalfant. That's not right.
and empty.
And empty. I'm a void of my former self. No, this is fantastic, Michelle. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Me too.
I'm excited to talk about this today.
We have one bit of housekeeping. We are so excited to announce that the Spring Intensive has dates and locations. Michelle?
Yes. I'm very
excited. Yeah.
You know, I get excited a lot, I have to say.
Well, you kind of live an exciting life. You're a roller.
I do live an exciting life. I do.
So let's talk about the Spring Intensive just briefly as before we get started today. You tell us where it is and when it is. First of all, let's start there.
Okay, May 6th and 7th. So May 6th and 7th is a Saturday and a Sunday. First weekend in May, in Nashville, the Scarrett Bennett Center, we are doing an adult chair intensive the whole weekend. We're going to be working with all of it. Anxiety, depression, codependency, any feelings of loneliness and sad, all of it. We're going to explore more the chairs, the child, the adolescent, the adult. How do you live in your adult? We're going to touch on chakras. We're going to do it all. It is going to be a blast. I really am thrilled to do this and put it all together in 2 days. And so
fantastic.
We're doing it first weekend in
It's
May.
like all of the stuff that we tease out in the podcast as best we can in a half hour. Being able to devote 2 days to that is just wonderful. So May 6th and 7th, the Scarrett Bennett Center, definitely check that out. You can register. Registration is open right now on the website, michellechalfant.com. You should definitely get your name on that list and get yourself there. If you can't make it, if you can't travel, don't forget, you can bring Michelle to you. All you have to do is let us know. You can reach out to Michelle through the contact page on our site. Let us know. Bring Michelle to your hometown. If you can help us build an intensive in your location, we will do it. If you can't make it in May, we'll come to you anywhere in the world. If we can build an intensive there, we'll be there. We're working on Australia already.
And I had some people from Northern Ireland and England and Spain.
I want to go there. We're also going to do live podcasts there. So I have to go. Yeah,
I'm going to bring you with me, Pete. You have to come. But here's the thing. What a lot of people don't know is if they reach out and say, hey, I live in Cincinnati, would you ever come here? What they don't know is that I have other followers there too already. So just reach out if you're interested and you can't make that weekend. You never know. I have a lot of people all over the world now that are listening that are interested. Yeah. So let us know.
Absolutely. There you go. Okay. All right. Let's get started.
Okay. Sounds good.
You know what? It is rare, I think, that we do a show that is so that stems or is inspired so directly by the activity in the closed Facebook group, in the private group.
I'm telling you, whoever is not in this closed group, come join us. If you are ready to get real and really live authentically, and even if you're not, you can just come and kind of observe a little bit and maybe start interacting. People in this it's called the Adult Chair. It's our closed group. You have to ask to join. It's a private group.
You can find that link on michellechalfant.com. You can just jump right on the website, and there's a button that says request access. It's easy.
I wonder, can they search it? I don't know.
They can. They can find it in search, yeah.
And Facebook?
On Facebook,
but either way, you can find it. If you're on the website, you can go right into it. But people that typically wouldn't comment or write in and post, they're posting. And I'm like, woohoo! Like, people are really getting vulnerable. I love it. It's just a really beautiful, safe place. To talk about what we're feeling and to help people learn, how do you live in the adult chair? What's this adolescent chair? What's the child chair? We're learning it. Right. We're talking about it. I comment all the time. It's really fun, but it's just a beautiful process to witness. So yeah, it's wonderful.
I cannot celebrate this thing enough. I'm so excited about it because really vulnerability is growth, right? You have to be vulnerable and in that weird space in order to make that next leap to whatever you need to learn next. And so the fact that there is this space where people are actively practicing it is really special. Really special. And that's where this conversation comes from, that there is an ongoing conversation in the private group around this experience of being sad, lonely, and empty. And we're actually calling the show that. So I think we should take just a second, Michelle, if you could, and just define terms. What is the kind of experience that we're referring to when we say sad, lonely, and empty?
Yeah, well, it came from this closed group, and someone had written in that they felt a lot of loneliness and what do you do about it? And does anyone else feel this way? And it was so amazing because immediately people started commenting in like, oh yeah, I get that way too. And I don't feel lonely. I feel empty. And another one said, I just feel sad a lot. I mean, it was immediately this gigantic dialogue of me too, basically. It's like, oh, me too. I step into sadness. And I have to say, just to extend that out a little bit, when I have not only attended groups in trainings or things like that, or even had my own groups with clients and people that come to my office, when we go around the room and I'll do a check-in, how are you feeling? And oftentimes people might say, I just feel really, really lonely. And then they're almost embarrassed to say it. And I'll pause often and I'll say, can anyone else, I would like everyone to raise their hand if they ever step into this feeling. And all the time, everyone in the room raises their hand. I mean, it's happened for years. So I know that we all feel this way, but we cover it up. Wow. Everybody gets sad. Everybody feels lonely. Everybody has that emptiness feeling in them sometimes. And what's interesting is when we slow down and then stop working, stop watching TV, stop doing the vices, stop using the vices, stop drinking, stop whatever. That's oftentimes when these feelings start to rise up. So then we do more of the drinking, the watching of the TV, the working to cover it up.
That's the roller coaster, right? That's the roller coaster of our own emotions.
Yeah. And a lot of people will say to me, well, I can't slow down because then I start feeling bad inside. I'm like, so it's there, but most of us aren't even aware. And when we start to get the slightest inkling that something feels yucky is when we do the roller coaster ride again. But the other thing that people do is they're driven to fill in the blank. They're driven to make a lot of money. Right. Yeah. So it's making a lot of money. Or, so what happens is, just to explain it. So our inner child, when we're sitting in this child chair, we have, as adults, we'll have this feeling of, God, I'm so lonely. And it may or may not be conscious, by the way. A lot of these feelings are in the unconscious, in the unconsciousness. So what happens is it sends this ripple through the body. And then that's when we slide naturally into that adolescent chair of the ego. And that ego goes, I'll take care of this. I know what to do. She's lonely, this little child over here. So let me go ahead and go find a partner. Let me go get married. Mm-hmm. And then when we get married or find a partner or a serious boyfriend or girlfriend, we might be in that relationship for a year, and guess what? Here comes lonely again. And then what do? Then that ego says, you need to have a baby. So then we do that.
Everything you do, every next step is all about filling a hole.
Well, it could be. If it's coming from our adult and it's this authentic place, yes. Yeah. But oftentimes what I find is we are these robotic humans that are doing what we think we should do because that's what we were taught, that's what our parents did, or that's what we're doing to cover up this internal pain that we're all experiencing. We just do it because that's what we should do and that's what we're supposed to do. Yeah, right. But when we stop and start feeling what's underneath it all, we realize, hold on, there's a lot of loneliness in me. Where the hell did that come from? And I remember actually a client, when I was thinking about this show, this client popped into my mind. He came in a few years ago and he said, great looking guy. He was a multimillionaire, had a fabulous family, wife and kids and the Harleys and the cars and the house here and the houses at the beach, and they traveled and more money than he knew what to do with. And he said to me, and he was healthy. Like he really had what you would think, looking at it from the outside, looking, at the sky, he had everything.
Yeah.
And he said, I can't stop. He said, I am avoiding something and I don't know what it is, but I can't stop attaining things. And he says, my mind won't let me stop. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I said, well, it was amazing. He says, you have to help me because I know that I should be really happy, but I'm not. And I don't know what's wrong with me. And he wasn't depressed. And I said, well, what's going on inside of you? And he goes, well, I don't know. So I said, let's just take a moment. And I said, just close your eyes and I want you to just drift down inside of yourself. And let's just see what stirs at the idea of stopping, stopping moving forward, stopping making money, or stop, not to be poor, but to stop attaining things like Harleys and different motorcycles and boats and cars and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And he stumbled upon, I feel empty inside. he says, I feel like this void, like I'm just empty. Like,
Yeah.
wow, he says, I didn't even know I felt that way. And I said, that's what's driving you. And he was shocked.
These are the holes that I'm filling in my life, right?
Right. Well, it's coming from a real feeling that comes from feelings come from our inner child. So the child has all these feelings, but this adolescent part, remember, is the average emotional age of a 12-year-old. It does not know it. That's the part of us that comes up with the ideas to go have a glass of wine or go buy another boat.
Yeah, right.
It's an immature idea to cover up a lot of pain. So, and you know, and I think, and he said, well, where did all this come from? You know, and I said to him, I can sit and we can go into your past and dig through, which I might have done that a little bit. I can't remember because this guy came in a few years ago, but this happens often when maybe we had one of our parents was drinking or drugging a lot when we were growing up. And those are the obvious ones. If you have a fall down drunk as a parent or someone that's getting high, or obviously like the overt, some sort of abuse in the house. So there's that. There's enmeshment. Maybe if your dad was the alcoholic and your mom didn't have anyone, so then she decided to enmesh with you. That steals our identity.
Sure.
That creates lonely. When we don't have a parent we can lean on, there is neglect when we are growing up. That creates lonely inside. That creates emptiness inside. When mom becomes my best friend or dad becomes my best friend because they're not connected to their spouse, or maybe the wife dies and the dad becomes the best friend with the daughter and leans heavily on the daughter, then the daughter feels like she's got to be the wife, have the wife role, or be dad's best friend. When we get part of our identity that gets stolen from us, there's this emptiness because it's like we don't develop all the way because part of us is gone. So we feel lonely. We feel empty inside. Sometimes it's physical abuse. Sometimes it's trauma. And it doesn't mean that you didn't have parents that loved you. Yeah. Your parents might have loved you, but they did the best that they could. So they enmeshed by mistake. Dad didn't mean to drink all the time, but he was really stressed and his father was an alcoholic and that's all he knew how to do. But he really loved you. My dad loved me. I have never felt more unconditional love from anybody in my life than I got from my dad. However, he couldn't set boundaries and he had an identical twin that was abusive, emotionally speaking, and just a really, really angry guy. And he came over all the time.
Yeah.
And he was not nice to my mom and nobody freaking stopped it. So I said to this guy, I said, well, we could sit here and say you're an adult child and an alcoholic. You've got this, you've got, codependency, you've got blah, blah. I said, none of that matters right now. Let's talk about this empty feeling. So this is what we do for anybody that might be experiencing sadness, lonely, or emptiness. First of all, it's an inside job. And when we apply this adult chair model, we have to learn to connect to the inside of us. We are not going to heal from the outside. People think, let me go get a pill from my doctor. That'll stop my sadness, my loneliness, my etc. And you know what? For some people, that's absolutely fine. I have no judgment for those people. However, there is another way if you want to try this, because I believe this works and it works really well because I have walked this path and this works for me and many, 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 many other people I know. But we have to learn how to connect with that inner part of us that's having the feelings of sadness, lonely, and empty, and many, many other, of course, painful feelings. But let's just talk about these. Real limited to these, right?
So what do you do?
Okay. So, we want to close our eyes and go in and find the part of us that's anywhere from 0 to 6 years old and connect to that part. Now, for me, I like to pop my little Michelle out, and she's typically 5 years old. Yours may be 6 months old. Yours may be 2 years old. It's not a right or wrong answer. It's personal. We want to connect to that part, and we want to say hello. We just check in. We don't assume that little girl or little boy wants to be held immediately. We don't walk over and pick them up. We are standing there in our adult as the observer of what's going on. We're watching this child, and we're just saying hello. Think of it like a new step parent coming on the scene, and this little kid doesn't know you at all. So we got to get to know this part of you. So so for me, this just happened to me the other day. In fact, I felt really, really lonely, and I closed my eyes and I checked in and I said, gosh, where is my little inner child, Michelle? Where is she? And she was curled up again. She does this a lot in the corner when she feels lonely, and she's curled up like a little ball and she was crying. And I said, oh my gosh. So I squatted down nearby and I said, I just want you to know I'm here. Hello. What's going on? And she looked up like sort of like with one eye because her head was still in her hands. And she said, I'm so lonely. And I said, oh, I feel that with you. I know you are. In other words, validate. So we go in, find the child, our child. We say hello. We validate whatever they're feeling. We don't change it. We don't say, why are you feeling lonely? That's stupid, or none of that. We just validate. And then we say, we're sorry. I'm so sorry for not being there all these years, but I want you to know I'm here now. What do you need from me right now? And that little kid might say, I just want a hug, or I want you to promise you're going to check in with me more. I want you to promise you're not going to leave me. And when I hear that, I go, absolutely, I'm here now. And let them know that you love them no matter what, that you're glad that they are here with you, and that I'm here to keep you safe from now on. And then, sometimes we have to tune in and say, what is it that, I sat there the other morning when I was really, I don't remember if it was lonely or emptiness. It might have been a combination of both. And I said, okay, so I did what I just said. I said, I love you and I'm here with you and and I could feel something was missing. This is why it's such a personal experience. And I tuned in and I said, what does my little girl, what does she need to hear? And I sat inside myself and I said, I know what it is. And I said, I need to feel like someone's going to protect me. So I turned to this little girl and I said, I want you to know I'm here to protect you. And she turned, all of a sudden her head came out of her hands and she said, you will. And I said, I'm going to protect you. And what it stemmed from was, again, my uncle coming in. Nobody ever protected me or my mom or my sister. It was all of that. Like, it was this root that came out. I was like, oh my God. And I was in the worst place and felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. And all of a sudden it lifted. And I said, oh my God, I really needed to hear someone say that to me. So I'm imagining this in my mind. And remember, the mind does not know, is it really happening or did this happen in my past? It does not know. So by doing this work, it rewrites history. We are reparenting our child. And it's like dominoes that are falling. And then everything changes up to who you are today. It's a miracle. It's really a miracle kind of technique. And I don't say that in a light way. It really is, because I have gone from feeling like deeply depressed and then boom, I bounce out of it by connecting into my child. So then at the end, after I said that to her, I'll say something like, I just want you to know I'm going to be back to check in on you because I really love you and I'm here with you. And I think it's important to make a practice of stepping in and just doing this for like a minute or two. I'm not saying do this for an hour. If you want to, go ahead, but just close your eyes and check in, or do it when you're driving to work and just say, hey, I just want to check in. When you're going to bed, check in. Yeah. Say, hey, I just want you to know I'm here. And it takes seconds. And then sometimes I'll feel my little girl, like when I'm going to bed and maybe she's laying next to me and I'll hold her hand and I feel this little hand come around my hand. Done. And I go to sleep. Done. It doesn't take much, but holy crap, is this powerful. It is life changing, honestly. And it heals all these wounds from a long, long time ago. All the enmeshment, all the adult child of alcoholic stuff. We need to be validated for who we are. We need to witness all of this. And we need to connect to this inner part of us. So
I love that, because
there you go.
It is the authority of the adult that brings the weight to the relationship that you have with your child, right? That is the thing that sort of really strikes me, that it's I am only me. I am the only person who can speak to my child and my inner child and have him relate, have him change the way he approaches the world. I have to do that from the adult chair.
What we're doing is we're giving our kid, we're giving ourselves and our inner child, our inner child, what we didn't get, but we needed when we were growing up.
Right.
So for me, again, it was protection. And I didn't even know it until the other day when I sat in this place and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I need to hear more than I love you. And I need to hear more than I'm here with you. I needed to hear that word, I will protect you. So 49-year-old Michelle turned to this little 5-year-old and said, I will protect you. Wow. And I could feel it feels like dominoes to me, like all of a sudden everything changed. I was like, oh, and the heaviness went away. My heart opened up and I was like, holy shit, I will protect myself.
That's beautiful.
I can do this. It was so powerful. I mean, it truly changed me in the moment. Done. And we go, and life goes on. It's not to say, I just want to end on this. It's not to say you're not going to feel sad again or empty again or lonely again, but you won't get stuck in it and it becomes less frequent. I promise, because I lived in lonely for many years. I bounce in and out of it now. It's so quick because I go, oh yeah, there's my lonely, there's my empty, there's my sad. Okay. And do it with any emotion. Mm-hmm. But that's how you connect to that child part. So there you go.
There you go. And so for folks in the closed group, thank you for the inspiration, and hope this becomes something that you can add to your daily practice as needed. This is wonderful. Thank you so much. It's as needed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Michelle Chalfant. On behalf of Michelle Chalfant and everybody in the closed group, on behalf of all of you too, I'm Pete Wright. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your time and attention listening to this show, downloading the show, reviewing and commenting on iTunes certainly helps. We'll catch you next time. Review. Yeah, that's right.
We need people to review on iTunes, please.
If you like the show, we sure appreciate the review. If you don't like it so much, you could go listen to something you do like. You don't need to take the time to review
exactly.
to review something you don't like. You don't need to worry about that. Anyhow, thank you, everybody. On behalf of everybody, I'm Pete Wright. We'll catch you next week, sitting right here in the adult chair.